This is from DraftKings, but he's got the point spreads for each of the Commanders' games, which is interesting because we went through the schedule yesterday.
I told
Cakes,
like a handicapper put these out, or
from DraftKings.
Okay, this is DraftKings. Okay.
Point spreads from DraftKings Sportsbook. Cakes is going to go through the schedule and put his records there. I had the Commanders going 8-9. Cakes.
Mm-hmm.
Bish Bucks was at 7-10, and EB 9-8.
Yeah.
Although he has an asterisk, so he's probably going to bring up all year if they have a good season. He wanted to give them 11-6.
Okay.
But
he said he couldn't do that.
I went against every fiber of my being.
So why
picking
didn't
the Bears? Because it's hard to imagine them getting to 11. I had to. At some point, you just had to.
It would be one of the best rookie seasons in NFL history.
At some point, you just had to randomly pick losses. So I picked losses to the Bears, and there was another one that I did not like.
I think the Falcons.
The Falcons.
You picked pro Caleb Williams in the matchup between Caleb and Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
The
guy he doesn't like.
Didn't like
This is surprising news.
But I did put that caveat there. I didn't want to pick this.
Okay.
So here are your point spreads for all 17 games. And are the Commanders being disrespected?
Is this week one or
You're
just?
Go
they are the.
one.
I'll just point out larger. They're the favorite in 3 games. That's it.
All right.
Out of 17.
All right, well,
What
these
are
are
the
obviously
three?
they're
What are
all
the
going to
three?
change.
All right, so Carolina, they're a favorite.
All right, week 1, they're catching 3.5 at Tampa. Week 2, favorite laying 3 at the Giants. Or against the Giants. That's their one home game.
So
in
both
the first
Giants
4.
games in Carolina. That's when they're going to be favored.
Their Monday Night Football game against Cincinnati, catching 7.
That's fair.
Catching just 2 against Arizona.
Probably
on the
fair.
road. Home.
Let's bet the cards there.
Home against Cleveland, +3. They get 8 points in Baltimore.
All right.
Then they are a favorite against the Carolina Panthers, laying 3.
Right.
+2 against Chicago, +1.5 at New York Giants, +1.5 against Pittsburgh, +6.5 at Philly, +3 against Dallas.
Where's the other one they're favored?
-1.5
Tennessee, maybe?
against Tennessee.
Against Tennessee. All right.
And then the rest, they're catching points: New Orleans, Philly, Atlanta,
And that's still
Dallas.
supposed to be like the 28th easiest schedule or something like that?
Yes, it's one of the easier in the league.
Yeah.
I think it was the 30 easiest. Is that what you said yesterday?
Third easiest.
So the
according to
opponents aren't that
article.
difficult, but people don't think we're any good,
Well,
so it's not really matter.
I mean, they're basing it obviously a lot on last year,
Of
even though
course.
the roster's completely different.
Of course.
And you got a rookie quarterback.
But I mean, makes sense.
But all those numbers are going to change. I mean, maybe not week 1.
You
but
had a bad team last year playing a lot of bad teams from last year. So
Correct.
it might be an easy schedule, but we're still considered a bad team until proven otherwise. That's fine.
My early tingle is to take them +3.5 against Tampa in week 1. But again, it's tingle play.
Yeah. Well, I'm
It's
taking
strictly a tingle.
I'm taking them.
I also like taking them getting a 1.5 at home against Pittsburgh. That's a little disrespectful.
I picked them to win that. Yeah.
Feel like that's a little bit of a
I would
disrespectful early line.
What's the Giant number? The first one?
-3. The Commanders are laying 3.
Love that. Calling it my lock of the year. Week 2 against the Giants.
Oh, no.
I love that you're locking in a lock of the year
just
in
jinxed us.
mid-May.
Lock of the year, right? NFL lock of the year, week 2. Commanders beat the Giants, lay the 3.
Dable's coaching for his coaching life.
Don't
Yes,
care.
apparently so.
Got a poo team.
Just because they lost Saquon?
And they're going to be drafting
Well, they
in the
also
top
have
5.
they have a poo quarterback.
You don't
in
like
Daniel
Jones, and
No,
you.
I don't like
and
the
you-
team.
And you're because they lost.
Even
Saquon.
though they beat Washington all the time. But
Daniel
this-
Jones is one.
This year he's flipping the script.
Shining light on the hill is his record against the Commanders over the years.
Jason, you mentioned that a lot of these odds are based on last year and rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the Bears on this from DraftKings, the Bears are favored in 10 out of the 17 games.
That's crazy.
Well, because they
added a bunch of guys on offense. Obviously, Caleb, Odunze, the draft. They get Keenan Allen. All right, let's see that. I still would bet against them in a lot of those games.
They have them favored in 10. So that what's the Vegas number on Chicago then? They have them
on a win total?
Yeah. What's their win total?
I think it's 8.5.
Well, then if you base it on them being favored in 10 games, you should go over.
So like the Bears play the Titans, they're 4.5 point favorites at home. The Commanders are 1.5 point favorites at home versus the Titans.
Yeah, it's fine. I can't get riled up.
See, Chicago.
I agree with the lines.
Yeah, Chicago's 8.5.
I agree with the line.
And by the way, it's skewed to the 8, and it's minus 150 to go over the 8.5. So they really think that Caleb's going to be a difference maker.
Well, like you say, they got the other guys.
Yeah. Still
well,
a rookie quarterback.
No, well, the Commanders made serious changes.
Yeah.
On the staff and with personnel.
Of course.
So why?
I think
they're just
they'll be
not-
better.
They're not getting any love.
Also, the Bears were a better team last year.
And the Bears smoked them head to head.
That was
I
probably
know the
low
Bears were a
point of the
better team,
season.
but to the point where the Commanders are only favored in 3.
I don't know what other games when you look at the schedule.
You can't get worked up, on
the only other
May
game
17th.
where maybe you would say they should be favored, and I couldn't even make the argument, is the Giant game where they're at the Giants. And it's hard to say that because it's a road game and we never play well there. But what other game would you look at and go, we should be favored?
Well, I think that the
Pittsburgh? I don't know.
This isn't a slam on the organization, but I just think they have so much. They've stunk for so long that it's hard to shake off the stench. Is that
For sure.
Does that make sense?
It's also a lot unknown.
Is that fair?
It's also a lot unknown
Maybe
because there's been such personnel turnover. You don't know how these guys are going to fare.
But isn't Caleb Williams an unknown?
Yep.
Yes,
I mean,
but as Jason mentioned, I think they were 7-10 last year. So to get to 10-7, that's a 3-win improvement. That's significant, but they weren't a 4-win team.
Mm-hmm.
I would go under the 8.5 with the
And
Bears.
then when you just look at the weapons that
I would
Caleb has to
definitely.
work with, most people believe he is set up for success. And they have him, generally speaking, a tier above everybody else at quarterback. That's why he was drafted number 1.
Everybody except NFL Draft Scout on Twitter, who
Yes.
he's really leaning into. Caleb Williams is going to suck. He's going to be terrible.
Is he still going hard?
So hard.
Do you follow
He
that guy now?
I think I do follow him.
Yeah.
He goes on that harder than anybody goes hard on anything. Like he's really like he's staking his
I
reputation,
hope
whatever
he's
that
right.
might be, on Caleb Williams.
Well, he's
stinking.
a former NFL draft scout.
Yeah.
And yeah, he probably wants back in, and he's putting it all
is how you
in
make your
on
bones.
Caleb's
This is how
going to
you
be a
make your
All of
bust.
his chips
right
are in
here.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, all of his chips are in the middle.